One of the aspects that I dislike the most about Avowed is that it has this kind of system where you are going to be suffering some penalties if you are not exploring every single rock that this world has to offer. Not that it is like something really bad, because at the end of the day it is a beautiful, alluring world that sometimes it leaves you in awe, but if you're not a completionist like me, which I very well understand that not everyone is, some people just want to experience how beautiful this world is, go through the main campaign, but they're not compelled to look for every single rock, chest, or piece of loot that you can find out there. That's going to leave you into a disadvantage, because sometimes you reach new areas and enemies have higher power levels than you. Because this, believe it or not, hear me out, I'm not saying that this is what I'm about to tell you. This game resembles and shares some systems from Souls games. Now, do not be alarmed. I'm not saying that this is a Souls-like, because it's not. I'm saying that it uses systems that are commonly seen on Souls-likes, both for the upgrade weapon system, which requires for you to be using world materials to upgrade even the stinkiest of weapons all the way to legendary tier that you can use on the end of the game, the end game. The same case it uses for the stats, and that's what we're going to be discussing in here today, because if you feel that you're under-leveled or that you're under-geared, this advice is going to be amazing for you, because it's going to even the odds a little bit, not only on combat, but also on contextual exploration. So, just to start off, this game has a soft cap, hard cap, and cap system. That is very commonly seen on Souls games. For the people that is not familiar with Souls games, which I imagine that a lot of people that are playing Avowed are not going to be familiar with Souls games, because they are very different types of games and not everyone enjoys Souls-likes, I'll describe to you briefly what it is. So essentially, every time that you level up a stat, you get a bonus into a given specific something. Whether if it's health, whether if it's damage, whether if it's critical damage, critical hit chance, so on and so forth, mana, vigor, stamina, what have you. Once you reach a certain threshold or a certain point, you start getting diminishing returns, and that is what we call soft caps and hard caps and caps in Souls games. So for example, this is not the case in here in Avowed, but in Souls-likes we usually have a bunch of stats. So let's say that you are allowed to use 100 stats into a given specific, let's say on strength. From 1 to 40, you get a 40% benefit for the stat. From 40 to 80, you get a 20% benefit from that stat. And then from 80 to 100, you get just about 5%. That is what we call soft cap, hard cap, and cap. The soft cap is when you're going to start noticing diminishing returns. The hard cap is when you start getting even higher diminishing returns, which means that it's no longer viable for you to invest points in there. And then that is until you reach the cap of the stat. The same thing happens in here, but it's much more important about it. Now explain why in a little while. So now that that has been explained, let's actually talk about the stats that we have on Avowed, and what are their soft caps, what are their hard caps, what are their caps, and when should we stop using them. Well, there is a soft cap on the first 5 stats, so the most that you're going to get from a stat is going to be from 1 to 5, because as you can see right here, with a 0 points investment, I do have a little extra when it comes to the stats because of the gear. We'll talk about that a little later, but if I place a point in here, I am always going to get 3% into returns. That is up until I reach my 15% damage. Here I have a total of 5 points into might. This is where I get to the soft cap, because the soft cap is going to reach a higher diminishing return. Now, instead of 3%, it's going to be 2. So as you can see right here, 17% damage, 19% damage, 21% damage, 23% damage, 25% damage, and this is the hard cap. And a hard cap means that I'm going to get even higher diminishing returns than a soft cap. Meaning that if I place points in here beyond this point, instead of getting that 2% more damage, it's going to be a 1. So that's 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and that is the cap. I can place more points here into might, but that's only because I do have a might from different sources. But the highest value that you can spend into your character is going to be might. Now you might be inclined to believe, since you are a warrior, that you should be spending points in here, as many points as you can in here, because you're a warrior. Like, that's the overall gist of your character, and you are inclined to spend 15 points in here. Well, I am here to tell you that that is not what you want to do. You want to take the most advantage out of the soft caps and the hard caps. Ideally, more often than not, I would be inclined to believe that even the soft cap, it's fine to get that 15% damage. But just for min-maxing purposes and getting the most out of the stats, I'd say that let's build something really fast in here. I'd say that getting the 25% damage and just spending 10 points into might is going to be more than enough for me to be able to be proficient on damage dealing. Now, that allows me the liberty to place more points into something else that is going to give me even higher amounts in returns for my playstyle and my overall combat effectiveness. Because, for example, I am a warrior and I am very much aware of that, but here I have perception, and perception is going to increase my critical hit chance. Hence, it's going to increase my overall DPS. It's much more beneficial for me to invest those extra points that I have in perception, because here I get the 3% up until I reach the soft cap, which is 15%, and then I try to reach the hard cap, which is 25%, and then we reach the hard cap, and as you can see right here, it's going to be 1% as well. So that is ideally what I want for my character to be doing in here. Then I can move to a different stat that is going to give me even more DPS. So for example, I can now move up to dexterity, which is going to increase my attack speed, and I can raise that with the soft caps and the hard caps to levels that I believe that it's actually kind of nice for me. So this is where I finished up with my stats. So I invested 8, 8, and 8. But also have in mind that there are many items in the game that are going to give you stats, and these are hugely, and I can't stress enough how vastly important these guys are, because not only are they going to give you like just those stats, they are going to help you to be proficient not only on combat, but also they are going to help you to be proficient on contextual actions. And let me elaborate on that. So then again, we have our points in here, and let's build towards what I told you. I have my 10 points into might. I reach my hard cap. Do not want to invest more points in here. So let's reach the hard cap for a character right here in perception. And I can reach it even sooner because of those stats that I can get from various sources, from buffs, from items, from rings, from gloves, so on and so forth, and I can that helps me to reach those hard caps and those soft caps even faster than I would originally be allowed to do so. And this is also very important because all of these stats are very important for every single character. Let's say, for example, again, that I am building a warrior, I still need intellect in here, because the intellect is going to increase my maximum essence, and the essence is something that I need to be casting stuff. But also I need resolve, because resolve determines how many times can I attack because of the maximum stamina that I can have. But not only that, this is also an RPG that it's going to help you with contextual things. So if I build, taking into account my soft caps, my hard caps, my caps, and so on and so forth, what have you, this means that I can use these stats to bypass checks on conversations. Sometimes I might have a might check and I would like to use that is going to give me an extra reward, is going to make a quest faster, is going to make it so that people are going to sell things better for me. So there are many skill checks for conversation that is much more beneficial for you to take advantage of the soft caps and hard caps, because it's not only going to help you on combat, it's also going to allow you to bypass those checks on contextual conversations better, because you have higher amounts on either might, dexterity, constitution, perception, and yes, you can build your character towards the combat effectiveness, and these are percentages that are going to help you alleviate the percentage that you have, for example, if an enemy has more damage than you because they have a higher tier of level, because of the critical hit chance, because of the maximum essence, because of the attack speed, because of the damage and might. You can, by all means, bypass all of those checks if you're leveling up your character properly, and you're not just allocating points into might because you think that you're a warrior and that you're always going to get something in return. No, have hard caps and soft caps into account before you start leveling up your character. Anyways, if you like the content, like and ever super appreciate it, and also you that you're a gorgeous, beautiful person, you're into the gorgeous and beautiful person, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, have a beautiful day, and goodbye.